You a first on this channel. I've never done one of these videos before. It is a book unhaul. So I like to sell all my books back to the half price bookstore up north, and since it is a little bit of a drive, I don't go there very often. I like to basically save up a nice little stack of books and also give my sister a chance to save up a nice little stack of books, and then we go together to make the trip worthwhile. So I finally had enough books. I'll count them real fast. 15. I have 15 things I've been setting aside that I'm ready to unhaul, and I don't know how many she has, but I figured that was probably enough to make it worthwhile. I don't expect to get very much money for them. A lot of these still have clearance price stickers on them showing that I paid like 50 cents for them. Before my new bookshelf gets here, I did want to unhaul them to at least clear up this small amount of space. If you've been watching my channel for a while, then a lot of these books will be familiar because I'm unhauling things that I've read that I didn't enjoy, for the most part. Also, I just woke up literally like 10 minutes ago. My first cup of coffee. I'm gonna be chugging it through this video. It's still in my like coffee pajamas. I have to go meet my sister in like a little over an hour, so I'm like, gotta get this video filmed. Okay, so we will start with mass market paperbacks, and this is probably one of the only things I haven't actually read for this channel. I'm getting rid of my throwing books on the floor. Oh no. I'm getting rid of my copy of Lord of the Flies by William Golding. I pulled this out when I was like sorting through my books to figure out what I wanted to store inside the house so that I could read it. Not because I wanted to read it, but because I've decided that I don't enjoy it anymore. Wow, I have a note about a test. That can't be my test. That's not my handwriting. That's so funny. However, I do think some of the underlines in here are possibly my own. I read this a couple times, once in like junior high and once in high school, and I really loved it when I read it. Since then, I think I've gotten a more nuanced understanding of class, and the things I think are interesting, that I thought were interesting about this book, are not very interesting anymore because of how white, male, cis, non-intersectional this book is. Like, yeah, obviously you put a bunch of entitled white boys on an island, they act entitled and shitty. It's actually not that revolutionary. So I've decided to just go ahead and unhaul this because it kind of just makes me annoyed at this point in my life. The other thing that's an old book, but one I have talked about on this channel before that I'm unhauling, is Dracula. So for one, I think I have a copy of this book. I have a compilation of Bram Stoker's novels. It's got at least like 3 to 5 of his novels, and I haven't actually looked at it. I should probably look at it, but I'm pretty sure Dracula's in that technically. And it's a really nice, one of those like nice big hardcover Barnes & Noble's editions that a friend got me. So like I've got it. It doesn't matter. Also, I reread this last year and really hated it. I was severely disappointed. This was one of my childhood favorites that I reread as an adult and then realized how misogynist and racist it was. Like, so misogynist it was, and how not like other girls Mina Harker was, and how just, yeah, bleh. So I'm unhauling it. The next thing is something I read last year, 2 years ago. It's Dead Until Dark by Shailene Harris. I picked up this, and I looked a long time to get a copy of this at a really cheap little used price, because I wanted to start the series, the first Sookie Stackhouse novel, and one of my kind of low-key projects is to try a bunch of paranormal series that feature women, not necessarily paranormal romance, but just like urban fantasy paranormal series starring women. Just find one that I like. There's another book that I'm going to be unhauling on that same level. So this was one I tried, and I liked the ending of this book, but not the middle, and I hate the romance, and I hate her love interests or whatever. Gross. Ew. Bill the vampire. Hated it. So not for me, and I won't be continuing. There you go. Then, like I said, on the same lines, I'm going to be getting rid of Moon Called by British Briggs. So again, urban fantasy series I started because I wanted to see if I would enjoy it. Along those same lines, I had so many hopes for this book because it like takes place in Eastern Washington, Spokane, where I've been, and is she part Native American? Now I can't. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's supposed to be part Native American. And you know, she's a coyote shifter, and there's a werewolf pack. This wasn't bad. I think I enjoyed this one more than the Charlene Harris, for the most part. But I hate the werewolf so much, and there's like so much just misogyny in this book. That seems to me just like the author's writing it that way because that's just like how she sees the world, which is just, it's not for me. So I won't be continuing on with this. Though again, I'm glad I finally tried both of these books. Okay, and then the next two are connected, and they are The Oathbound and Oathbreakers by Mercedes Lackey. I bought these together, read them end of last year, beginning of this year. Was that roughly speaking? First time reading Mercedes Lackey. I really wanted to love her, but I liked parts of how she writes, but I hate the way, like, on a sentence by sentence level. But this one, which was told just like as a story, I thought was paced really weirdly. Like, it's not long enough for some of the character development she's trying to do and pull off, and like a relationship she's trying to create in this. And then like the first 100 pages of it are like so mind-numbingly boring on top of that, and not related to like the rest of the book. Anyways, but even more than that, the way she handles rape and the way she treats women who get raped is abominable and disgusting and so anti-feminist and very, very upsetting. And there is a lot of rape in both of these, and there's a lot of murdering women who get raped in these, and I don't like that. I don't know if that is a theme in Mercedes Lackey's other books, but it was the theme in both of these books, like central theme in both of these books, and I did not care for that. So they're going out the door. And to be honest, I probably won't be trying any more Mercedes Lackey. And that is The Two Princesses of Bomar by Gail Carson Levine. This was like my favorite Gail Carson Levine book as a kid. Actually, I should see if my niece can read this. I don't know if it's too young. I'll have to, before I get rid of this, I'll look up the AR rating for this and see if it's the right age for her. I loved this as a kid, and the thing is, I do still enjoy kids' books. It's not that I just don't like kids' books, because I read probably maybe like 20% of my reading, 15 to 20% of my reading is usually kids' middle grade books, and I still enjoy quite a few of them. This one I didn't enjoy. This one had some really mediocre character development. I don't fully remember all of my issues with it because it's been over a year since I reread this, but it was so poorly written compared to how I remember it being written, and the character development was so bad, and the plot was so meh. I was really sad. So yeah, I'm gonna check and see if this is of the right AR rating for my niece. I'll pass it on to her if it is. If it's too young for her, I'm gonna go ahead and sell it because it just makes me sad at this point. Then this one is something I've never read, but I hauled this on my channel in one of my few early channel hauls before I got my bookstore job and started hauling regularly. I hauled this. It is book 2 in the Laws of Magic series, and I picked it up because it was 50 cents. I had no idea what it was about, but I read the back and I thought it sounded interesting because it's about like prince, I thought. So like one of the characters is studying natural history. One of the characters is sick, and he's burdened with a royal mystery to solve. And like it sounded like a older middle grade or YA adventure kind of steampunk fantasy. And so it sounded really interesting to me. I checked out the first one from the library and started reading it last year and hated it. Like, the way it was written was so bad, and the protagonist was so insufferable. I couldn't get into it, and I think I tried reading it again, and just, yeah, so I think I'm just gonna let that one go. This was a mistake. Unfortunately, I still would love to find like a steampunk middle grade series. If you know of one, to hit me up. Like, actually, seriously, if you know of one, steampunk middle grade or steampunk YA, it is a genre. I don't read a ton of it, but I do enjoy it. So, let me know. But yeah, I'm just gonna. It's big. I'm gonna let this one go. And I only paid 50 cents for it, so whatever. The next one I accidentally bought because it turned out to be a duplicate of a book I already owned. That's The Well of Lost Plots by Jasper Fforde. I bought this in the same haul as that other book. Again, I only paid 50 cents for it. I love Jasper Fforde's novels. This is a Thursday Next novel. I can never remember which of the Thursday Next I own. Like, I own almost all of them. I think I'm only missing one. And so I can never remember which one it is. And I was thinking, well, it's only 50 cents. I'll just go ahead and get it because it's like an unread copy, basically. And it won't hurt anything. It turned out to be a duplicate. And since this is like the fourth in the series, it's not like I can just give this one to a friend. So we're going to unhaul it now, make some space. And then the next thing is one I bought because of BookTube. I might have even bought it at the same time as those other books. I don't remember, but I bought it because of BookTube, and I read it, and I didn't care for it. So that's The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I saw this being mentioned on BookTube like really early on when I was just getting into BookTube, and it, like, when you just find BookTube a lot of times, or it's very easy to just kind of just find YA BookTube, especially 3 or 4 years ago, because YA BookTube still dominates, but it was like 95% of BookTube, or it was like 90% of BookTube, and then like 9% of BookTube was like literary fiction, and then 1% of BookTube was people reading other stuff primarily. So yeah, I also picked up a couple other things I'll mention because of BookTube, but this was one of them. This is supposed to be like a YA fantasy with really complex world building. It's not, and it's really bad. A lot of it's just boring, but also there's this linguistic development in this that only works because you're reading it on the page. It makes no sense from like an actual linguistics perspective. It's about naming conventions. There's this way she uses Roman numerals for naming conventions, but Roman numerals only look like Roman numerals on the page. When you say V, it's just 5. Like, it doesn't mean anything. So if you say 5V, yes, in print that means something. But if you say that, which all the characters say, you're saying that because like most of that they're not necessarily super literate because this is kind of a dystopian universe. They're just saying 5-5, and it's just like it's just such a silly, dumb oversight. It was so distracting through this entire book. But then on top of that, there's a super toxic, what I think is going to be the relationship, super toxic, and there's a bit of not like other girls, and there's just like. It's pretty long book. It's like 450 pages, and I would say like there's at least 200 pages where nothing happens, and then there's like 25 pages where everything happens. Like, so it's not well paced. I don't understand how Priory of the Orange Tree was getting so much traction as it was, because I personally was not impressed. I haven't read that one, but I mean, like, with the writing. Maybe she's improved. I don't know. I'm not going to spend any more time on that. Okay. Then the next thing, another BookTube. Not actually, BookTube didn't make me buy this. The movie made me buy this. And I thought I had the other two, but maybe I've already sold them back. But I'm getting rid of City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. I had all three. I had the first 3 in the Mortal Instruments, but the first 2 aren't in my box. So maybe I already unhauled them. And I only had this one because this is the last one I had left to read. I'm going to have to like check over there and make sure I don't have the first 2 sitting over there under some stack of things. So I watched the movie with Lily Collins, and it's cheesy and it's dumb. It's got some bad pacing, but it's also got some cool stuff in it, and the world building was really interesting. And I was like, oh man, I bet the books are better. So I bought the books. I bought all 3 of the first. I bought the first 3. And holy gosh, these were bad. Like, these are amazingly bad. Cassandra Clare's writing, I hope, has improved, because in this first 3 books, like, literally, if you just deleted the unnecessary and often poor similes and metaphors, you'd cut out this much in this book. And then if you cut out all the really boring shit, it'd probably be like this big. Like, they're so unnecessarily bulky because of the writing style. Her writing style, it's so overwritten, but in a really bad way. It's like she cannot write a sentence without putting in a simile, and it's so annoying. On top of that, oh man, the relationships are just gross. The plot's convoluted. I hate what's his face. Simon, is that the name of her friend? God, I can't stand him. And like the whole thing where he like just decides that they're dating in books 2 and 3, and she just never says no, even though she wants to say no. Oh God, gag. Oh, they're so bad. This one in particular was so boring. It was a real struggle to get through. Like, the first one is at least kind of entertaining. The plot's kind of intriguing and you're learning about the world. But man, this one, oof. Also, when they finally, because in this one they finally go to the land, the kingdom, the land, the city where the Shadowhunters live. And it was so like underdeveloped. Like, it was so ununique, unmagical. Like, it was such a letdown. Like, that too was such a missed opportunity to make something like really like complex and alien and mysterious and interesting, and it wasn't. And I was really bummed about that, getting to like all that this garbage to then be let down. Okay, I'm done. Not a fan of these books, but I tried. I mean, I read the first 3, so I gave them a real fair shot, I think. Literally forgot 2 books over there, so it's actually 17 books. The next one I bought because of BookTube, because of Literary BookTube, and that's HHHH by Lauren Benet. This is kind of last minute addition to this Unhaul this morning. I was just kind of staring at my books, pulling off the ones that I had set aside, because I usually like make a stack of things I want to unhaul. And I was like, you know, I'm probably never going to read that. I should just unhaul it. I only paid 50 cents for this. I think it might have been in that haul I had with those other 3. I either bought this one at the same time as like Heart of Gold, or I bought it at the same time as Bone Season, or I bought them all together. I don't know. Whatever. Only spent 50 cents. This is like historical fiction, but based off real events. And it's about killing Nazis, which is not a bad theme. I'm just not interested in it. I'm not interested necessarily in historical war fiction or military historical fiction. Actually, I'm like straight up not interested in historical military fiction, which is effectively what this is. And yeah, I got this because it was going around a little bit on Literary BookTube, and honestly, I just grabbed it because I recognized the title as one of those impulses, and because it was just 50 cents. But realistically, I'm never going to read this. Even if I tried, it would probably put me in a reading slump, because this is not my thing. I'm sure it's good. It's from Vintage, but yeah. Okay, and then the last 5 are all recent reads, so I'll zip through them because I've talked about them all on my channel. First one's going to be Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I thought this was going to be a 5-star. It wasn't. It was a 2. I did not enjoy it. I think the relationship in it is toxic, and it's Deus Ex Machina, and such a letdown. Such a letdown. So, I mean, I could keep this till be like, most disappointing books and hold it up in videos, but I don't have space to do that, so it's going out the door. It's a nice copy, too, so I might be able to get like 50 cents for it, you know? I'm also going to be getting rid of Dreams Underfoot by Charles Dulent. I buddy read this with Kelsey from the Fancy Hot Lady Reads and Roya from Unicorn Hunter, and that was fun. And I'm definitely glad that we did that while I was reading it. Though I think I enjoyed this the least of the 3 of us. Which is why I'm getting rid of it. I do think the Charles Dulent covers are spooky and beautiful and super 90s, and I love them. But I'm ultimately not going to reread this, and it's a good sized book. And I think I should just make some shelf space for it, to be honest, by getting rid of it. I didn't love it like I hoped I was going to, and it is what it is. I don't think Charles Lent's going to become a new favorite author for me. Then I'm also going to go ahead and get rid of the 3 books I read for my Boyfriend Picks My TBR challenge. So that would be My Last Continent, Season of the Witch, and No Time for Goodbye. I did not like this one. It's going out the door. Really didn't like that one. This one is a nice copy, and I think, and I talked about this in my vlog, this is not for me. This is definitely intended for a different reader with different interests and different tastes. So I'm just going to sell it back so that someone else can pick it up and enjoy it. I don't think it really wouldn't interest either my mother or my sister either. So I don't have anyone to like give it to. Like if I could think of someone who I thought would enjoy this, who I know, I would gift it, because it's not a bad book. But I can't think of anyone, because like my sister reads classics and mysteries, like, and so her tastes just aren't this either. And then this was good, but it's a thriller, so I'm just never gonna reread it. And I didn't love it like, say, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Like that's kind of the only thriller I've read and held on to because I love it so much. I'd probably read it again. This was fine. It was serviceable, but yeah, I'm just not gonna read it again. Probably won't get much for it because the cover's so beat up. But yeah, I don't need to hold on to it. So that's my unhaul, and by the time this video is posted, these will already be sold. Like I said, I think most of those should be pretty familiar if you watched this channel, because the way I unhaul is usually to read or to try something. You know, I don't mind DNFing, and then when I have enough, they go out the door. But I usually try to give them a chance before going out the door, except for in a couple places where it was clearly an impulse buy, that the impulse was very, very led astray. Like just it was just not my impulse. It was someone else's impulse, and I was just like buying it to buy it. But you know, even that, there's only a couple of those. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.